These are my amazing friends. Jake, Beth, we have Jack, Luke, and Grace, and this is the amazing Burke family. So I, of course, asked if they would share a few words about their experience with the front row. Jake?
Thank you, John. And thank you, team. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I know, I always cry, I know. I want to get something straight. The video puts about 50 pounds on you. I know you saw that. I also know you saw me up at the line 6 times, so we really don't know what the truth is. But Mr. Vroman and his team, and I said, hey, can I call you John? He said, well, my friends call me John. You can call Mr. Vroman. I'm like, that's awesome. Okay. Seriously, though, the team of Front Row, pretty incredible back when we did our trip. Pretty incredible up till even today. Have to say a special thanks to Helen Brown, who's not here, but who was the person that nominated us. So Helen, thank you for everything, and to the people that set a record apparently for Front Row. We were funded, I guess, John, in 48 hours for Jack. So that was pretty cool. I want to take a moment and introduce you all to my front row, and that's Beth. So,
thank you. You know, I would say a few months before, several months actually, before we had this wonderful experience, among the first weeks of chemo, I came home and my good friend had put in our kitchen window a plaque that said, "One day at a time." And I was so touched by it, and it was such a good reminder, especially for parents, of a disease that doctors describe as the most anxiety-riding disease out there, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. So it was really good. There was honestly quite a few times I wanted to throw that plaque across the wall. But it was a good reminder. But when you really listen to it, and perhaps it was the moment we were in at the time, it sounds to me more like sometimes one day at a time is more like surviving rather than thriving. And I will say that Jack's magical moment, his front row moment, was a physical, a visual, a front row experience to enable him and all of us to live in the moment and to thrive and not just survive. And to witness his reaction was nothing short of unbelievable for all of us. And including his siblings, who are often forgotten, kids with chronic disorders or cancer, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes siblings are forgotten, and they might not have the disease, but they live with it every day, just like Jacko. And so for our whole family to be treated like royalty was just amazing. But for me, as a mom, I have to admit that it wasn't that moment that was the greatest gift for me. It was the lasting effect of the gift. And what do I mean by that? So I would say about 5 or 6 months after we went to South Carolina, Jack was asked to participate in an NF study, which we try and do whenever we can. And this one was about children's life experiences and what it was like to live with NF. So he was interviewed by phone. So I set him up in the dining room, got the phone all ready, and left. I don't think he knew that I was out in the hall listening. Because I wanted to know, how is he coping, right? Not only with chemo specifically, but, you know, living with NF. So I was listening, and he was talking for quite a while. He's not a shy child. And I heard him say something to the effect of, you know, I know this is going to sound weird, but there's some good things that have happened. There's good because of NF. Good things. If I didn't have NF, I wouldn't have met the people I met, become friends with the people I have. We wouldn't have golf tournaments, and I wouldn't have gone to this magic show. I was in the front row, and he proceeded to explain in very, very much detail about his whole experience. And the poor researcher on the phone, I'm thinking, you know, she thinks she's on for 10 minutes, and we're on minute 35, and he was going and going. But for me, I remember putting my hand to my mouth. It just struck me to the core, and I marked the moment because, you know, this is, Jake and I worry about these things as any parent would. But, you know, here's this child with needles and medicine and doctors and hospitals and the unknown and fear and worry all around him. And he's talking about the good. And this child is thriving. And that, for me, is front row's lasting effect. That, what happened right there and then. And it still happens today. So the Burke family was lucky enough to go to the San Diego Zoo yesterday. It was awesome. And we're standing in line, waiting for the bus tour, and I look up and there's a big poster, a quote from Dr. Seuss, who we all love, and it literally gave me the chills, and it said, "Sometimes you will never know the value of the moment until it becomes a memory." And for me, I can honestly say that we did know the value of that moment, that front row experience. But it has become even more of a treasure since we left those seats and came home. John and everybody here at Front Row, I hope you do know the value of your uniqueness and your importance. I mean, I think a lot of people here tonight, us included, because we have our own foundation, people who run companies, you know the importance of a mission statement and a vision and values, right? They're the backbone of any company. And for nonprofits, and in particular nonprofits who are trying to cure a disease, you can have a great mission statement that's solid and admirable, but they are often and most likely aspirational. But with Front Row, they take a child, they take an adult, and they give them this live in the moment, lifetime experience where they can forget the fear, and they can forget the worry, and they can forget the pain, or at least silence it for a while and thrive. And that is mission accomplished each and every time. So it is my hope, it is our hope that you keep changing the world and changing the lives of adults and children one set of front row seats at a time.
Thank you, Beth.
So first you have to follow John Vroman, who's a professional speaker, and then you got to follow that. It's a pretty good life. It's hard to say much more than that. I will say this: the experience was in April of 2014, when Jack was in the throes of chemo. Pretty much terrible, right? Yeah. And we were done in October of 2014 because he did his 52 weeks. And then we're cooling, we're chilling, we're rolling into 2015, and then bam, right? He gets a syrinx on his spinal column that means that he has to have brain surgery in October of 2015. And why I tell you that is not to bring you down at all. It's actually to help you understand what Beth just talked about and bring you up. We tackled that piece, not knowing that was ever going to come, with the front row with us, our front row, but the front row. John, I don't think I've ever told you that. it's just a mindset, right? You know, you can kick it around and, you know, run away, or you can just go. And know that on the days that you can't go, I think I said this to Andrew tonight, when there's that big elephant that you got to eat, and you sit at the table and how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Still, though, that's a lot to eat, even for those of us who gained 50 pounds on the video. But I will say this, when I had to push myself away from the table, somebody else sat down right in the front row and started eating that elephant. I got you, Jake. I got you. And that was a mindset that we brought to our foundation, Cure NF with Jack, and it's just amazing. So I will say this, I'll close on this. We celebrate Jack, but we celebrate Luke. Look at Luke. I mean, does it get better than this kid? Look at him. The middle child, who is probably the best little brother and best big brother anybody could have. But this is what I love about him. See, he doesn't have a tie on. You know, his jerk father says, "You got to put a tie on tonight. Put a tie on." We walk in, and it's like, John's not wearing a tie. You know, somebody over here is wearing a Grateful Dead shirt. You know, the 9-year-old's going, "Really, Dad? Eh? How about no?" Boom goes the tie. And how about Grace Elizabeth, everybody? What a great sister. What a great sister. I feel bad for the kid who's going to mouth off on the bus to her older brother Jack someday. He's going to get that phone call, "Mr. Burke, you have to come to school and pick up Grace." Well, why is that? "Oh, she beat up an 8th grade boy." Okay. Again? Okay. Going for ice cream again. Good job, Grace. Good job, Gracie. John, I know I'm going over here a little bit. I'm sorry. Magic was an interesting thing that Jack brought to us, and then in turn was brought to us by Front Row. Because when you have a child that's ill, or a family member that's ill, not just a child, a husband, an uncle, you want something magical to happen that's just going to take it all away. And it doesn't work that way, folks. We live in the real world, right? But magic happens. Look at Jeff back there. He's like, "Damn right it does. It does happen." Magic happens in many ways. And I hope that you find the magic in your lives. The people that bring magic to you, I have more than my share, thank goodness, and I'm very happy for that. And I want to say this, and then I swear, John, you can come up. You have an obligation here. You know, there's been a lot of conversation over the last few months about this country, and I hate this country, I love this country, I hate this country, I love it. Whatever. I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm going to say is that we live in a great country. The people in this room, I don't know everybody. I've seen a few of you this morning at Starbucks looking like you had a long night last night, but I have 3 kids with me. I wasn't out with you guys last night. Wanted to be, but I wasn't. Then I saw you this morning and said, well, I'm glad I wasn't. Anyway, we live in a great country, folks, and we're very blessed in a lot of ways, and I think that we have an obligation to protect one another and help each other. We do, no matter who it is. Protect those that need it. It's your obligation, in my view. And I'll say this. You just can't do nothing. Do something. If it's Front Row that hits you, do it. Keep doing it. If it's something else, just do it. Everybody can do it. Time, talent, treasure, find it, do it again. Because when you bring someone in the front row, you're in the front row. So do that. Do that for Jack. Do that for your Jack. And I'll tell you what, it just keeps paying and paying and paying and paying. Andrew, I'm going to put you on the spot, I think, but as I invite John to come back up, I hope that you can put that up, that slide up, because we've said a lot of words tonight. but there's a picture. There it is. Mr. Vroman says, you know, Jake, how would you describe Front Row Foundation? It's a terrible imitation of you, by the way. Yeah. It's going to knock my teeth out tonight. Oh, yeah, just a funny guy. I'm not going to describe it in words, John. I'm going to ask you to look at Helen Brown's photo that she took the night of his event. Do you see a sick kid there? Do you see a kid with a port in his chest? 14 weeks in? Chemo ravaging him? I don't. I see a kid in the front row. And a lot of people, like you, put him there. And it's Mr. Vroman's vision. I'm going to call you John after tonight. It's John's vision that put him there. So on behalf of my wife and my children and the most famous guy at all, by the way, if you Google famous kids with NF, I kid you not, he comes up first. I'm not kidding. Go ahead. I know you're going to do it. Go ahead. He comes up first. Did you want to say anything, buddy?
So the front row experience was pretty great. Like we got there, we saw we took a limo to the hotel. Next day we went out to we got our own pizza. It was a magic show, free candy. And magic show was great. Like tons of tricks and stunts, and someone got shot out of a cannon, so that's pretty cool. And then after that, Ben Black signed a picture of himself and gave it to us. And after that, we gotta go backstage, and then we went to Hard Rock Cafe, did a helicopter ride, and got full access of a firefighter truck, which is pretty cool. So I just want to say thank you to the Front Row Foundation.
Thank you, Jack.